How you doing, y'all? Welcome to Confidence. It's a very fine day. It really is. I feel calm. I feel relaxed. I definitely have had some interesting feelings over the last few days, though. It hasn't just been all sunshine and rainbows. I feel sometimes like a little lost. I feel sometimes that, I don't know, you always like wonder to yourself, like, where's life going to end up? And I think that's for a lot of us in the realm of relationships, in the realm of like our career, our life. I've been feeling, honestly, it's so strange. It's the weirdest feeling. It's like there's a part of me that knows that it wants to succeed and it wants to have all these external results. Like I want to make money. I want to grow on social media. I want a relationship. I feel like those are all things that like I could see myself having. I'm like, great. That all sounds really good. That future vision, external validation. It's like, yeah, man, fucking love that. Want that. But the other part of me, it's like, I don't want to say I'm so spiritual. That's not really what it is. I'm so grounded in like, here's really what it is. I've read a lot of fucking books in my life. A lot. I would say like the core theme of spirituality is that there's nothing like the present, and everything that you desire will never fulfill you underneath. Simple as that. And so it's hard because there's like parts of us, I think the reason that they have this writing is because most of us are driven by those things, right? We're driven by our desires. We're driven by the things that we want. And it's hard because part of us, we want what we want. Do we not? Right? Wouldn't it be fucking nice to have financial freedom? Wouldn't it be nice to, I don't know, have a fucking girlfriend or boyfriend if you don't have one? Probably, right? Sounds good. But it's like this constant inner battle of like chasing after those things and caring so much about those things and then allowing myself to be where I am. I think the fear is that if you allow yourself to be where you are, how are you going to get the things that you want? That to me is like the core problem, I would say, for a lot of my clients. And I would say even for myself on a day-to-day basis, it's like, how do you spend your time and energy in a way that feels fulfilling, but also it feels like it's like aimed at a goal? It almost feels like it kind of has to be sometimes. And I think that's what's interesting about my life too. It's like I've been so goal-oriented, end result-oriented for my entire life, like completely switching over to this more like grounded sense of like balance. Again, it has not been an easy transition. Like today, for instance, I don't know if you guys saw, but like I bought like some new DJ equipment. I'm going to keep it a million with y'all. Like, I don't think financially it was the smartest decision. It puts me in like more of a scarcity mindset of like, oh my God, like what if, an emergency happens, then what? But, it's strange. It's like, the reason I got it is that I went to my friend's house and he let me go on his decks and I started DJing. And I just remember feeling like, yo, this is fucking awesome. Like I was having so much fun. Like I wasn't even talking to anybody. I swear to God, like other people were at the party. I was just sitting there playing the music. My one friends kept like running up to the table like, you suck. But like I knew in my heart I loved it. It didn't matter what they were saying. And I was just like, I need to do this more often. It's kind of like if you just like discovered some piece of art that you like to do. I don't know, maybe what are you guys into these days? Like pottery or some weird shit like that? Drawing, art, I don't know, watercoloring, who the fuck knows? My whole point is you don't really know what you like until you start trying different things. And then all of a sudden, like something just comes about and just like lands in your lap. And it's just like fucking enjoyable as fuck. So anyways, I spent a bunch of money I didn't have on DJ equipment because I was like, yo, I'm trying to enjoy my life. And so today, like that was one of those decisions, right? Where it's like my whole life has been centered around results. It's been centered around, okay, in order to get the things that you want, you need to be consistent and you need to focus so fucking hard on them. And it's interesting because I think that there is some truth to that, right? The truth is if you want something or to succeed in something, you need to put the time and the effort in. Simple as that. But here's what I feel like I'm realizing. It's not really worth the end result if you don't enjoy the process of what it is that you're doing. And to me, the only way that you actually know that you enjoy the process of something is literally, can you do it without the end result? So it's kind of like a mind fuck. It's like a paradox. It's like you're going to eventually get to deeper results if you do something that you love consistently. But in life, I would say majority of people, I would say 90% of people, we pick the outcome that we want first, and then we try to do the process of getting the outcome. So for instance, the outcome that I felt that I wanted early on in life was what? And honestly, something that you could even ask yourself, because typically it's surrounding one of your biggest fears. So my biggest fear, as you guys know, is like kind of insecure, was that I had a fear of being insignificant, right? I didn't want to be insignificant. And I would define insignificance as feeling unknown. That's really what it was, feeling unknown. So what's the perfect way for me to feel known? As you guys probably know, why don't I become famous? You know what would be awesome? You know what I see for myself? I'm going to be this superstar. So that's what I did. I went and just started posting all the time at the expense of everything else in my life. Promise you, friendships, romantic relationships, everything, you name it. Who gives a shit? I was feeling so much anxiety if I did not make a post in a single day that I couldn't go on vacation for more than 48 hours because I would lose my fucking mind. I couldn't even hang out with my family, honestly, or my friends, because I'd be itching to be like, well, I need to be alone. Because the only time I would ever really be able to post was when I was alone. I only felt comfortable posting when I was by myself. So do you see how really quickly your life can become very narrow? And so that's what a lot of us do, right? We pick these little goals that we then dedicate ourselves to, and it blinds us from other things and trying new things and expanding our palette. And that's what's crazy is I'm finding out later in life is that, that stuff is cool. And I'm not saying to abandon all of your goals, your dreams, your hopes. It's not a bad thing that I want those things, right? It's not bad that I want to make an impact. I do enjoy making videos. I really do love doing that. I love making podcasts, right? I really do. I enjoy this shit. But I think you also got to leave room for, trying new things. We sometimes get so honed in on the process that we lose sight that it's supposed to be fun. I think the whole reason that I even wanted to be an internet personality in the first place was probably to quit my corporate job. And that's great. But I guess what I'm saying is the whole point was to not have it feel like a job, right? What's the point of quitting corporate if you're going to go and work a job and it just looks different? You see what I'm saying? Because to me, that's what I envision a job to be. Corporate is almost like you're working for somebody else to fulfill their dream, unless that job has alignment to what it is that you want. There's nothing wrong with being in corporate. There's nothing wrong with being an employee, right? There's nothing wrong with those things. Absolutely not. To me, it's about alignment of your energy. Are you doing something that feels natural to you? Not something that you have to morph yourself, not something that you have to change yourself, something that feels natural. And this is the same for relationships. It's the same exact vibe. You don't want to find somebody where you have to shift so much of yourself in order to be in the relationship. Do you see how the relationship, the idea of the relationship, the result can get in the way of the process? That's why you need to have almost like an even balance. You need to have an even balance of determining the results that you want in your life, right? Because there needs to be some direction. Sometimes you can go so off path when you're just doing things that you feel like without any strategy at all. That's true, right? It's really hard to make headway if you don't have some direction. Agreed. But at the same time, too, it's going to be no fucking fun if you're not enjoying it. If you're doing something you don't really fucking enjoy, what's the point? So with that being said, sometimes what I see for me and a lot of the people that I work with is we lose sight of that balance, right? Some people are so results focused, they're putting so much pressure on themselves, they're not having fun anymore. They're feeling anxious as fuck because they're not getting their goal. Everything is dedicated to the fucking goal. And they lose sight of, wow, I'm supposed to be enjoying myself while I'm doing it. I'm like, yes, right? There's for specific one client that I coach where she is so focused on being in a relationship that she lose sight of just like enjoying a conversation to enjoy the conversation, right? Dating should also be fun. It shouldn't be a job. This isn't, the point of dating is not just for you to be in a relationship. To me, that's too narrow, right? We're losing sight of enjoying the process. Is it not fun to connect with somebody? Right? You shouldn't be doing something if it's not enjoyable to you. I truly believe that. Like really look at your life right now and ask yourself, what things do I do that don't bring me joy? And not bring me joy because of the result. I'm talking about literally joy in the moment. Are you talking to somebody where you feel like you're doing more than you want to or more than you should because you feel that you have to in order to get them to stay? Because that's what a lot of people feel. A lot of people feel this heavy amount of pressure and expectation of being in a relationship, not actually because the other person's putting that pressure on them, but they're actually putting those expectations on themselves. Right? My client, for instance, that's what I'm saying. She has this expectation that she needs to be in a relationship, right? This is her moment. She needs to be in one right away. So she feels that every single conversation that she has with a guy needs to be so intentional, and she needs to actually pour some time and energy into it, even when she doesn't feel like it. That's what's crazy. Even when she doesn't feel like sending a text message back, even when she doesn't feel like she has a moment to talk, she might overextend herself and have that conversation because she feels like if she doesn't do it, how is she going to get into a relationship? And so what I have to tell her or help her with is, and this is something that we talked about in the last podcast too, is that the right relationships are going to gravitate towards you naturally. Just by being open, just by sharing good moments, you're going to find good people. I gave you guys the example of me and Jay last week, right? Some of the closest people that you have in your life. Did you force those things to be in your life? You did not. And so that's what's hard, right? Is that when you're so results focused, it becomes forcing. It does. Without even realizing it, you're forcing, right? For instance, let's say you want this one specific person. You know, there's a guy or a girl that you're like, I just really care about you so much and I like you. I mean, no doubt that's great. There's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. But where I think we get into trouble is when it just becomes all about getting their attention or getting their energy. Because if your focus is solely on that, what happens? You lose sight of yourself. You people please. You're doing things that you don't actually want to really do. So not are you not enjoying the process, but you're also trying to force an outcome that you have no control over. If somebody's not giving you reciprocal energy, there's nothing you can do to force them to do more. You can influence it by playing the game a little bit, but that's my point, is that's what most people do. That's what I'm trying to say, is like, even for me, I take a different lens, right? Or just stick with the one with my client, right? She wants this relationship. You can't influence or over-influence the right person coming into your life. You can't influence somebody that's showing up and you guys are talking, you're dating, let's say you like them a lot, right? Because you're like, there's a lot of qualities about you that I love. But if they're not showing you enough or they're not giving you anything, what are you going to do? Most people, right? It's what? Oh, well, let me figure it out, right? We set the goal, we make them the result, and now we just lost sight of, hey, does this feel good? Does this feel right? Most people are not thinking that. Most people are not thinking about, does this feel good to me? Is what I'm doing on a daily basis, do I feel at peace? Because I truly believe most people will compromise their peace for a goal because they think that's the only way. That's what I'm trying to say. It's really hard to understand that you can get goals or you could receive good energy effortlessly. And maybe not effortlessly putting in effort, but doing something that you enjoy. To me, I truly believe this. If you're putting effort into something and you're not enjoying it, you're fucking up. You're fucking up. Or if you're putting effort into something or someone that the only reason that you're putting that effort is to get something from them, you're fucking up. You're fucking up. Because there's a part of you that feels if I sacrifice myself, eventually I'll get the goal. Here's the thing about that though. In order to sustain results, what are you going to have to do? And this is where it becomes really fucking difficult because you're going to have to take a really motherfucking hard look in the mirror. Trust me, for me, it's hard too. You know, I want to be this internet personality, right? Have this impact, right? Let's say that's the result I want. Am I willing to go online every single day and post a video? If it's not something that I love doing, how am I eventually going to feel? Resentful, anxious, overwhelmed. Because I'm not actually doing it because I enjoy it. I'm doing it for the result. Same thing with people in relationships. Let's say you're dating somebody where they're really cool, you love them, but you know that you're sacrificing a piece of you in order to be in that relationship. Maybe they don't talk to you as often as you want. Maybe you don't feel fully seen. Yeah, maybe there's just parts of you that you know doesn't feel right. When you keep going in that relationship, what you're not realizing is you're making a secret agreement that you need to sacrifice and struggle to keep and maintain the result. And the funny thing is you think that the result is what brings you happiness. And that's the error. That's what I'm saying. That's where most people get fucked up. Most people think happiness comes from the relationship. That's wrong. Because if you think that happiness comes from the relationship, right? Oh, if I get in one, I'll feel happy. The problem is you will always sacrifice and struggle for it. Do you see what I'm saying? Instead of thinking to yourself, no, I should feel happy in the relationship. I know that sounds weird, right? That wording, right? It's not from, it's in. If you felt if you think about it this way, if your gauge was, do I feel happy in the relationship? Ask yourself that question about your own situation right now. Do you feel happy and at peace in the relationship? If that answer is no, you might not be in the right relationship. It's just true. And think about this from the perspective of your work, or for me, right? This is, again, what I'm feeling, right? That's why I told you guys about this DJ thing as we first started. Because I got that DJ equipment not because it was a means to an end. I wasn't thinking to myself, oh, I'm going to become a famous DJ. That's not what it was. right? It was strictly, oh, I bought that because I enjoy doing that. That was it. It doesn't go further than that. I'm not thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm going to make a career out of this. And that's what I'm realizing about life in general. You have to trust that if you vibrate at your most natural frequency, you will be safe and you will be abundant. And it's not easy to believe that. Because our whole life, we've been trained that we need to struggle for the goal. It's not true. It's not true. Because here's the thing. If you struggle for the goal, think about what your life is going to be. A fucking struggle. A fucking struggle. That's what's funny is like when you sign up for that belief that these, and I'm not saying it doesn't take hard work, right? It takes energy. My whole point is if you do something that you love, it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like energy. But the energy you're spending on it is coming immediately back to you because you enjoy it. And that's what I'm trying to tell you about relationships. If the person that you're dating or talking to doesn't energetically, naturally fit into your life, what are you doing? What's the point of that relationship? To hold on to what? This hope that at some point that energy is going to be reciprocated? Or maybe there's times where the energy is reciprocated? You see what I'm saying? It's like, so what you need to do actually is ask yourself in your life presently, not future focused. Don't think about goals. Just think about in your day to day, in your week to week, what do I enjoy doing and what feels like a struggle? What feels heavy and what feels light? And what I would challenge you to do is do everything in the world that feels light. Honestly, in my life right now, I'm realizing that, and it's hard because, like I said, when you had these previous goals that you created, you almost feel this subconscious agreement to finishing it. You see what I'm saying? Right? For me, I've been so grounded in like, oh, I need to be an internet personality. I need to make this impact. As I do more of this work, I start to realize I'm like, why am I agreeing to that? And that's scary. Because you don't want to look like a quitter. You don't want to like almost like, it feels like almost like giving up on yourself in a way. And I'm sure people in relationships feel like this all the time, right? You're dating somebody for a very long time. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. You've put so much time and energy into the relationship. It is not easy to feel in your heart and in your body that you're not enjoying it and let it go. So I guess that's part of the journey of all of this. And I guess that's what I'm realizing about myself is like allowing myself to be a little bit more fluid, allowing myself to be a little bit more flexible, even in my day, right? And I was telling you guys about today, right? Like I woke up, I did 2 coaching calls. That felt great. You know, I go and get my hair cut. I go to the coffee shop, sit down, throw out the Substack, which I've been really enjoying doing. I'm writing to the void. You know, I don't have 2 million people listening to or reading my stuff yet, even if they do or they don't. Again, it's just from the enjoyment of writing. I came home and part of me is guilting myself because I'm like, oh, Chris, you should make a video right now, right? You haven't made anything today. Make a video. Did I want to make a video in that moment? If you want me to be honest, no. I didn't. Honestly, I'm feeling to myself sometimes, I'm like, I have nothing to say to you on short form content right now. I really don't. So what I did just now is like, I kind of want to DJ. I was like, I kind of want to just play some music to myself. Swear to God, opened up my window, threw a couple tracks on, mixing them in, learning the buttons still. And I'm just in flow. I'm just in the moment. And it's crazy because I know old version of me would guilt myself. I wouldn't have allowed myself to do something that I wanted to do because I felt like I needed to force myself to go after the goal. And you know what's interesting is that the more that you allow yourself to do the things that you want, that's what I'm trying to say. There needs to be this balance. You start to realize that the other things that you want to actually do become easier to do. So that was the other day. I DJ'd, I stopped, and then I went to the gym, and then I still didn't make a video for the day, right? And again, remember, all those subconscious goals in your brain. Oh, I need to do this, right? These expectations. I need to show up today. I just let it go. Next thing you know, I come home and I'm just in a good mood and I throw a video on of me DJing actually. But it was just more natural. That's when I love to create. I love to create when it feels natural. That's the best time. And even in romantic relationships, like take dating, for instance. If you're so focused on the goal, and let's say you meet a new person, right, brand new, and you're so focused on them, you lose sight of yourself. You lose sight of the present. You actually lose equilibrium in the relationship because you're so obsessive about getting their attention or getting their energy because, again, you have the goal in mind. You're not allowing yourself to be present. Like sometimes I swear, and I know y'all feel like this too, but there's times where like, let's say I meet somebody new and they're very attractive. I'm like, cool, had a good vibe with them, right? Old Chris is in his head a lot over the next few days about how I'm going to reach out to them, how I'm going to talk to them. When's our next touch point? When am I going to see her again? Do I need to send her a date, right? Oh, I need to make sure and maintain this connection, right? That's what it is. I need to make sure this is on. You know, I need to maintain this connection or I need to show her energy. How is she going to know that I'm down for her if I don't send her a message or if I don't ask her on a date? But why am I making this person the immediate goal? Why don't I send a message when it feels natural? Do you see what I'm saying? A lot of that is fear that you're not going to receive the goal or too much focus on the goal. So what happens is old Chris, remember anxious Chris, I would probably meet a girl that I find attractive. Like the other day, I sat down with this girl at the coffee shop. She was sitting there by herself. I walked by her. She makes a comment to me. She's like, hey, you look familiar. I was like, oh, what's up? We get into a little convo. I was like, oh, do you mind if I sit with you? She's like, yeah, sure. So I put my stuff down. I go in the coffee shop. I order a coffee. I come back out. Bro, me and this girl sit and talk for 4 hours. Swear to God. Laptop's closed. Talk for 4 hours. And again, another thing, right? In that moment, I wanted to talk to her. I could have did work. I could have edited my podcast. I had some stuff to do. I had work to do. But I don't live life like that anymore. I don't live life forcing myself on this strict ass schedule, trying to get these strict ass goals, because all you're doing is restricting your energy. You're restricting yourself from your whole fucking life. You're living so wound up and closed off that you don't even see the beauty that can just happen naturally. Because you don't trust. That's what it is. You don't fucking trust. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust that if you let go of the reins, that you will still make it to where you want to go. That is a very, very, very scary thing. It is. Where was I going with this? Long story short, we have a good vibe, talk. Again, old Chris, what I would do is like the next couple days, maybe I'd hit her up and just ask her for a date. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I realized is with a lot of the girls that I've met like that, I was like, that doesn't really work, honestly, because I'm too obsessive about it, right? I'm in my head about it. So you know what I said to myself? I was like, you know what? We added each other on like Instagram or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. You know what? If there comes a moment where I want to say something, I'll say it, but I am not pre-planning it. That's what I told myself. I am not pre-planning what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, when I'm going to take her on a date or any of that. None of it. I was like, no, I'm not doing that anymore because I refuse to live my life like that anymore. So yeah, I want to say 4 or 5 days went by. Neither of us said anything to each other. No bad energy. I ended up sitting down at the coffee shop today, actually. And I sat down at the same table and I was like, oh, this is funny. I'm sitting at the same table. Boom. Do you see how that idea just happened? Boom. I was like, oh, let me send her a picture. Do you understand the difference in that energy? Right? I didn't pre-plan. I didn't ask her on a date immediately. I just sent her a message about where we were sitting. And then we had a little convo and she's like, oh my God, I listened to your podcast. Like it was so good. Energy just started it just picked right back up from where it was without force. And 6 days later, 6 days. Some of y'all think that everything needs to happen today. That's the other problem too about being anxious and forcing a goal is you're moving too fucking fast. Long story short, it felt natural. Conversation was easy. And then it was like, she's out of town. So she's like, oh, I'm out of town, whatever. She's like, oh, I get back Friday. I was like, oh, cool. Sounds good. Well, I'll see you when you get back. Again, I didn't plan a date. I just said, all right, cool. See you when you get back. Because I'm just in flow. I'm allowing what is naturally for me to be here. I'm not trying to force you to be somewhere you're not. Do you see what I'm saying? There's such a difference in that energy. And that's what I'm trying to help you guys with too, is like, I used to live so wound up and so anxious. Everything was tracked. Every number, every fucking thing. That's no way to live life. You're not living. And honestly, I really truly believe you get way better results when you go slower. You get way better results when you're not focused on the result. I mean, think about it even in the perspective of like, let's say you date somebody that you're not that attracted to. Think about your energy towards that connection. What is it about that connection that makes them want you so bad? Because you're loose. Because you're not attached. Because you're in a good energy. You're not forcing anything. You don't care if you see them or if you don't. You see what I'm saying? You're just in that in-between. But imagine taking that whole energy that I just described right now and bringing it to your whole life. That's what I'm saying. I want you to think about the results that you're chasing so bad right now. And I really want you to evaluate and ask yourself, am I enjoying getting there? Am I in the present? Am I forcing it? Forcing it would be, to me, would be overthinking, feeling anxious, feeling insecure about not getting it, feeling insecure or anxious or overthinking in general about anything. To me, that's the automatic signal that you're too focused results. You're too focused results. You're too results focused. You need to lower the expectations. Okay, here's the deal, right? And so I wanted to bring up this prompt for this reason. Somebody said, because the question, oh God, I always fucking forget the question. So then like, I want to set the stage properly. You know what I mean? Oh, Jesus Lord. One moment. So we asked, what's something people tell you to do in dating that doesn't actually work? And so this girl said, you'll find someone when you're not looking. I hate when people say that. There's truth to this statement. There is truth to this statement. Now, I think there's two sides to it, right? And here's what I'm talking about in terms of finding the balance. The key is that you can't be overly focused on it. I agree with that. I really do. I really do believe it does happen naturally. It's not about looking or not looking. To me, the right person finds you at the right time, and the right time is the natural time. You don't control that. Could be 1 month from now, could be 9 months from now, could be when you turn off this podcast. We don't have that answer. So you don't control that piece. The part that you control is taking a risk when you feel inspired, right? To me, it's not about not being intentional, right? That's what I was telling my client today. It's getting out of urgency and leading more with intention, right? If you want something to happen, you still need to be intentional. But confidence is intentional. Confidence is not in a rush. That's what I'm trying to help you guys with. Find that middle ground. It's this sense, to me, the polarity is this: urgency versus complete effortlessness, right? That's the scale. And where I want you to be is in the middle. In the middle, to me, is intention. It's still intentional about what it is that you want without feeling the need to force and go faster than you need to. But it doesn't mean you can't take risks. That's what I'm saying, right? For you saying this, right? You're saying you hate that people say that you're going to find it when you're not looking. But I guess what you're trying to say is, how am I going to find it if I'm not looking for it? Agreed. I think it's about setting the intention and then letting it go. So, but here's the thing, right? For you, what I would say is, for instance, if I know that I want a relationship, so let me be candid, right? I know I want a relationship. I'm open to that experience. I would like that experience. I've lived a large portion of my life without a relationship. It doesn't matter to me, like, if it's super long forever. I'm down to be in a commitment with somebody that I'm aligned with. Truly. Here's the thing, though. I shoot my shot when I'm given the opportunity. Think about it. Like the girl at the coffee shop. I had work to do. I had things to do. But what did I do? I stopped. I was like, okay, you're here. You're cute. There's a vibe. Let me sit down and talk to you. Right? I was intentional. But I didn't force that moment. Do you see what I'm saying? There was no force. I didn't go to the coffee shop that day and say, I'm going to go on a date. You know? I was like, I'm going to go to work. But I allowed myself to stay flexible. I saw something that I liked and I took an opportunity. That to me is intention. Again, think about the video thing, right? Creativity is the same exact way. You can't force creativity. If you try to sit down and force yourself to think of an idea, usually you're spending a lot of energy in a way like, yes, you could probably fucking manufacture something. But I'm telling you right now, the best ideas come naturally. So it's about letting it go. And then when you do get an idea or you do get some inspiration, take an action, take a risk, right? You can't sit there with your fucking hands in your pocket all day long. I agree with you on that. You know, if you're not looking at all and you're not trying at all, no, you're not going to find it. I truly believe that. That's fair. But the other part too is you can't force it either. You can't. It's exactly what we're talking about here. If that becomes the only goal for you and you can't allow yourself to enjoy your life single or in a relationship, you're cooked. Because then it becomes about too much pressure. I don't know if you realize that, but that really is the truth. And I don't know if you guys see it this way, but there's nothing wrong with being intentional about wanting a relationship. But there is something wrong if you feel that right now you're unhappy without one. I'm just being honest. Because, again, like I said, if you need the relationship, what's going to happen? You're going to people please. You're going to struggle for it. You're going to sacrifice for it. Because you need it. I need it. It's like crack. If you need the thing, you inherently are not going to show up firm. You see what I'm saying? There's a sense of neediness that comes from if you feel this anxiousness towards the result, right? For instance, again, take the girl and me meeting her out. I've realized that old Chris, what he does is because he gets so excited, he loses sight of the fact that he doesn't need it. He just wants it. But what ends up happening is the way that I'm communicating is that I need it. Nobody likes that shit. No, they don't. Because people could feel that energy. It's the same thing with creativity. If you're forcing an idea, you're in your head, you're overthinking, How do people relate to that art? Do they gravitate towards that art? Every single time that I've forced myself to sit down and make a video because I feel like I need to make a video in order to have an impact, you know, I look back and those videos never do well. They really don't. Most of the time, not great. If I'm not feeling inspired, they kind of suck. And then you get even more anxious because then you don't get the results and then you feel like you need to do more. That's what's crazy. It's like you feel like you need to try even harder. You're stuck in this like fucked up loop. And that's what I'm trying to say is like sometimes we need to just take a step back, relax, trust ourselves. It's not easy to do. Like I said, do I still have those feelings every single day? Like, Chris, you need to make a video, right? And I'm sure you guys too, like dating, right? If you're attached to needing a relationship, I'm sure part of you is like, I got to get on Hinge. I got to I got to talk to this guy, even though I don't even care about him that much. I need to have something. Imagine allowing yourself to have nothing. Imagine allowing yourself to just be free. Imagine allowing yourself to want everything in your life and not need it. Like, that's what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to eliminate any sort of need from my life. There's no needing. No. If I hear need come out of my mouth, I immediately switch it. And I say want. Because wanting is different than needing. Needing means you need. Wanting means I want it, but I'm okay without it. And that's where majority of y'all need to get to, is you need to learn to want people and want things without being attached to the thing, right? And that's why I said, that's why it becomes more intentional. If I want to become a famous internet personality, right? I will want to make a video. If I don't want to make a video, I won't. But if I feel this deep need, and again, where does the need come from? The need comes from fear. It comes from fear. If you feel like you need something, you're fearing something, right? If I feel like I need to have people watch my videos all the time because I feel like I need to grow myself on Instagram in order to feel good, that's coming from an insecurity. There's some sort of lack inside of me that it's telling me that I need attention in order to feel good. Same thing with y'all. Like, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's the same thing with relationships. If you need a relationship, there's part of you that is feeling insecure and lack in your own life. I'm just being real. Because it should be a want. A want means, hey, I feel good without it, right? Like I told you guys, though, my biggest fear is what? Being insignificant. So a lot of your deeper fears, and I would say for a lot of people, right? And this is really what it is. You're afraid to be alone. You're afraid to be by yourself. You think that if you don't get the person in your life right now, that you're going to be alone forever. So it becomes a need. And when it becomes a need, you lose sight of alignment. Because you can't date from need. You can't. This is what, and that's what's funny too, is this whole fear is driving your entire life. And that's what most people don't realize too. You're so in a rush to get into a relationship, not realizing that rush is ultimately what's fucking you. Because what happens for majority of my clients, right? They feel this urgency to get into a relationship because they're so afraid of being alone. And because they have this urgency to alleviate the fear of being alone inside themselves, who do they date? People that are emotionally unavailable or emotionally available? People that are emotionally unavailable. They date these people that don't treat them right. They feel like shit. But because there's this sense of urgency and fear that if they're not in a relationship, that's why they end up with these people. That's what I'm saying. That's why they cause their own struggle. You actually get further away from your true underlying goal, right? What is your true goal? I made my client rename her goal today because she was talking about, I was telling her, I was like, it's not that you want just a relationship. Let's be more detailed. You want an aligned relationship. You want a relationship where you feel good. Let's be smart about our words because they're important. Because at the end of the day, and that's what I'm trying to say, is you can't rush that process. You need to go slow. You need to be intentional, right? If you're intentional, would you say no to the guy that's showing up? He's giving you a relationship, but this time you realize that you don't really feel aligned. Can you tell that guy no if you're being intentional? Yes. If you're in a rush and you're urgent to alleviate the fear of being alone, to just get into a relationship, can you tell that guy no? No, you can't. And that's what's funny. And then you waste 3 years of your life, 2 years of your life, 6 months of your life. And then what happens is the urgency picks back up. Oh, I wasted my time with another guy. What do I need to do? I need to date somebody else quick. I need to date fast. One of my other clients is going through that right now, where I swear to God, no offense, it's like a revolving door. One thing doesn't work out, the next. I'm not saying that you can't date people, but my whole thing is slow down. Be intentional. You're so focused on the goal, you're losing sight of, hey, do I enjoy this? Is this aligned for me? Does this feel good? You got to have both. I hope you guys are getting the vibe. You know, you're understanding why it's important to not rush, why it's important to let go of what it is that you're seeking so hard, right? That's why I need you to question why you're seeking it so hard. If you're seeking something outside of yourself super hard, I could just guarantee you it's from fear. It's not from confidence. I can guarantee you. Because confidence is loose. Confidence is not thinking about something outside of the moment. Confidence is really present. Right? You're right here. You're in the now. You're relaxed. All right. So I'm going to read this situation, and I think it's going to be a more of the same of this lineage. So this woman said, it's really tough dating nowadays, especially when you spend 6 years with someone and he threw me out. I can't seem to let it go, and I'm resorting back to him and contacting him. It's really tough to meet new people because you don't know them. Okay? I go to the gym, I am picky, and no men that I actually would like to talk to don't talk to me. If you go up to them, they think you want to sleep with them. I have went up to 2 men and went on 1 date, and they expected me to go to their house, which I had no interest in doing. It's actually insane nowadays. So what are we seeing inside this situation? To me, I'm seeing force. To me, I'm seeing some woman that is getting driven mostly by fear. She has no trust. She's not allowing herself to be in the moment. Right? So let's do it again, right? She said it's tough dating. She spent 6 years with somebody, threw her out, and now she's struggling because she can't let go of him, right? So she's holding on to something in which it's not reciprocating the energy. We talked about this, right? She's become so focused on that being everything for her that she cannot perceive a life for herself beyond that connection. That's really hard. That's not easy, right? This is why, I would love to help you because this is what I'd help you do. But anyways, it's hard to get outside of that paradigm, right? Because if it's all you know for the last 6 years, your brain is so tapped into that being the only thing. That's what I'm trying to say. If my only goal for the last 6 years is internet personality, it's hard for me to believe that I could be a DJ, that I could make money some other way, that I might not have the thing that I want. And so that's what she needs to work on right now, right? Is initially realizing, all right, this dude kicked you out. It's over. Done. Drop it. Let it go. You're living on a fantasy. You're clinging. You're not allowing yourself to be in the now. Now, I don't want to focus on that part. The second part to me is more important, right? You said it's really tough to meet new people because you don't know them. Think about that sentence. It's really tough to meet new people because you don't know them. What is hard about that? What you're saying is it's just uncomfortable. You're so used to what you know that you can't get outside of your own perception. This is why sometimes genuinely you do need outside help. Because somebody needs to come into your life and smash the barrel that you're living in, right? Because think about this. She was dating the same guy for 6 years. Is she used to meeting new people? No. For me, I'm like, bro, it's so easy meeting new people. I'm like, bro, I meet new people every week. I meet a new girl, potential opportunity every week. It doesn't mean they're my wifey. It's not what I'm saying. My point is, I meet new people, new women all the time. But I'm single. I'm used to it, right? I'm used to putting myself out there. I'm used to going to the coffee shop. I'm used to talking to girls at the gym. I'm used to talking to girls at the bar. I'm used to talking to girls when I just see them anywhere, literally anywhere. It's just unfamiliar. So she's like, I go to the gym and I'm picky and no men that I talk to would like to talk to me. If you go up to them, they think that you want to sleep with them. Because here's the hard part about the masculine feminine thing, right? You know, I feel like as a woman, when you are the one that's in pursuit, that's usually what ends up happening, just to be honest. I feel like for a woman to really be in your feminine, you got to trust. You got to trust that the right guy is going to make the effort. It's not easy to do that, especially if you haven't had a lot of success. In your mind, you're already thinking to yourself, I need to make something happen. Again, you need to force something to happen. So, and here's the thing, I'm not saying you can't shoot your shot. I'm not saying you can't talk to a guy. I'm not even saying don't go up to a guy. I'm saying you could create the connection, whatever it is. But you got to trust and you got to let go. Are there going to be some men that turn around and take that as an opportunity to just try to bang you? For sure. Honestly, you want me to keep it motherfucking real? This is the realest thing I'm going to say ever. As a man, there's a lot of women in life that you will be down to sleep with, but there is a very, very, very small percentage of women that you'd really, truly be open to dating. So the hard part is, and this is what I'm trying to say for a woman, you got to be very patient. You got to understand that if a guy sees you that way, there is going to be that effort, but not effort, because here's where it gets too far. It's not going to be so outrageous that they're knocking down every wall of yours. They're going to be intentional about the connection. That's it. So that's the thing, right? At the end of this situation, she was saying, right, they expected me to go to their house, which I had no interest in doing. Right there in that sentence, were either of them intentional about the connection? The answer is no. But also, when you really think about it, you went up to 2 guys, just 2. You know how many fucking men there are on the planet? Yes, these guys, which again, like I said, majority of men are going to see you as unintentional. Honest, you want me to be honest? That's just the truth. There's men, we do not date with intention majority of the time. And if you give us an avenue, we're going to take it. I promise you right now. If you are the one that is allowing unintentional shit to happen, men are going to be down for it. Period. So it's good that in this situation, right, she turned around and she was just like, it felt unintentional. I'm not for that. Good. Because if you're looking for something intentional, you can only fuck with men that are being intentional. Now, it doesn't mean, when I say intentional though, I don't mean fucking obsessive. And so here's the problem for avoidant women. Insecure women, which like I told you guys, there's a lot. The issue with insecure avoidant women is avoidant women want to do zero vulnerability, and they only want to allow the guys that knock down their walls, right? There's a lot of women right now, the way that they date is that they don't try at all, and they just want the man to do everything. And here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Whatever, do your thing. But here's what I find with a lot of those women, what they don't realize. You have these giant walls up, right? Because one thing I will say, the girl in this situation, I like that she is going up to men. She's showing vulnerability. She's trying. Like, remember the girl earlier where she was like, I hate the idea of like, it's just going to find you when you're not looking. This is a perfect example. There really are some women, the way that they date is they completely turn off doing any sort of effort. So all they do is they wait for a guy, and that's the only effort that they're going to put in. Only. And like I told you guys, it's about balance. The hard part about giving guidance to you guys in a general sense is that for each woman and for each person, right, man or woman, your patterns are different than the other, right? My advice for an avoidant woman would probably be to shoot their shot more. My advice for an anxious woman would actually to be more patient. Do you see what I'm saying? It depends on what side of the scale that you're on. But let me speak to the avoidant women really quick. So the women that don't put in any effort and expect the guy to do everything, the problem with that is that mostly you're going to attract guys that do the most. Don't get me wrong, that feels good, right? Especially in the beginning, because the guy's doing everything. He's planning all the dates. He's taking you on all this fancy shit. But what happens is this. Eventually, your walls come down, right? Now you feel more comfortable because he was doing everything. Then he sees the real you. Then he sees the real you. Then you wonder why, after 6 months into the relationship, because you either avoidant women attract two types of guys. You're either going to attract the anxious guy, that's the safe guy that you're going to be bored with after 3 years, or you're going to attract the avoidant guy that is knocking down all of your walls because he wants your validation and attention. And when he finally gets your validation and attention and you start to show effort, he's going to start dropping off his energy. Eventually he's going to be like, damn, I don't realize it's kind of boring now. Because you needed to keep up the facade of the walls. He liked the version of you that had the walls up. So my advice to avoidant women is this. Shoot your shot more, show a little bit more effort. If you're the type of person where you're like, damn, I wanted to say something, but I didn't. I don't say anything now because, I don't want to look weak or I don't want to look needy. Here's the thing. When you show effort earlier on as an avoidant woman, you actually weed out the guys that don't actually want to be intentional. Because you're showing effort, if they start to show a lack of effort, they don't care that much. That's why I'm actually happy about this woman, right? She's saying, oh, I went up to the people in the gym and they invited me over to their house. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with that. Why do you find that to be a problem? Because all you did was you shot your shot at people that you wanted, right? You didn't need them. You wanted them. And you realized, hey, they're not being intentional. Okay, I'm done. You see what I'm saying? The problem for avoidant women is they allow that shit to happen for weeks and weeks and months and months and months. And they end up with somebody that actually doesn't care. Or they end up with somebody that's just super anxious all the time. And eventually you get bored and you throw them out anyways. We're looking for intentional versus intentional, right? If you're going to find a secure partner, you need to be secure. And being secure means an even and healthy amount of risk, but at the same time, a healthy amount of independence. So that's what we're trying to build here in this situation. Now, I would say for this woman in particular, right? She's putting too much pressure on the result. She feels so lost and alone by herself because she had the relationship for so long that she's not grounded in being alone. So the problem is she needs it. She needs it. That's why do you think she's hitting up her ex? She needs it. Why do you think she's trying with these guys so hard? She needs it. Right? She's trying to scratch the itch. She is, and just being honest, she's insecure. She's not grounded in herself. Because when we find that inner balance and that inner security, you create such great equilibrium in your relationships because you're not too needy, but you're also not too aloof. You're just secure and you're intentional because you trust yourself. So that's what we need to cultivate. That's what we need to build. I hope you guys understand. And I know that she's saying, oh, dating is insane right now. Like I said, if you have that perception that dating is insane, what it means to me is you're too results focused. Period. You're so concerned about being in a relationship that you're losing sight of the process and enjoying the process and just connecting with people that you feel good with. Why would you even try to hit up your ex that told you that he doesn't fucking want you? You see what I'm saying? Why would you ever continue to try to be with somebody that doesn't want to be with you? The only way that that happens is if you feel that you need it. And when you feel that you need it, that's what I'm trying to say. You're insecure. It's an automatic signal that you're being driven by fear and not through confidence. All right. If you guys ever want to work on this shit, I would love to help you with this. Break your unhealthy dating patterns. There's a lot of shit that you guys can't see, and it's very personal. So if you ever want to work with me, apply. We'll talk about it. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.